And we are live. Welcome to Glamma's Closet, guys. Hi, welcome to Glamma's Closet. My name is Dana. I go by Glamma, and I am a very true born and bred St. Louisan. Very much in love with the Lou. It's just it's where I'm from. Like everybody is in love with the food at their cities, I am in love with mine too. What I've seen though are countless travel vlogs and people who do travel logs, and what'll happen is they'll come to St. Louis and they'll try a few things, and they really never get sort of the breadth of what we have to offer. And we're not a huge city. We're not New York sized or even Chicago sized, but we do have a really wide array of culinary delicious offerings. And I think it's because of the way that St. Louis was settled. Originally settled by French settlers, but it had a very large influx of Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants, and German immigrants. So it sort of created this wonderful melting pot of different flavors that eventually started to marry and really brought out some really great things in the culinary world. I would pit our culinary offerings against pretty much any other large city. I really think that they are that good. But there are certain favorites that if you visit St. Louis from a native of St. Louis, this is actually what we eat. Like we eat when we go out to eat, this is what we eat. So hopefully you'll find something that you haven't seen before, or maybe some new things to talk about with your friends. But if you are visiting the St. Louis area, please keep in mind two things. Number one, we absolutely love our Provel cheese, and we'll get into what that is. It's not provolone. Don't think it's the same. And number two, we really are that big of Cardinals fans. We're really that crazy about our Cardinals. So let's move on to the very first thing that you're going to want to know about St. Louis food. And I will share the screen with what is the number one thing that St. Louis is kind of known for. And that is that would be the offerings of Emo's Pizza. It's pronounced Emo's, not Imos. And it's the pizza is considered the square beyond compare. And if you're wondering what those are on the sides, they're T-Rabs, and we'll talk about T-Rabs too. So let's start with the pizza. Their pizza and St. Louis style pizza, and more than Emo's serves this, but St. Louis style pizza is cracker thin. It's a very thin and crispy crust. It has a very tangy red sauce, and then the cheese on top is Provel cheese. You can't get this cheese outside of St. Louis. It simply does not exist outside of Missouri, really, and parts of Illinois that are very close to Missouri. So what is Provel cheese? Provel cheese it goes through an extractor and it comes out in ropes. It's actually a mixture of several different types of cheese, and it's processed in such a way as to make it salty and tangy, almost like a Velveeta cheese, almost like a white Velveeta cheese. A little less melty than Velveeta cheese, but not that much. And when it is baked, it takes on the color of whatever it's baked with. Typically, we would use red sauce on that. So it's a cheese that you don't, unless you're from here, you don't want it raw on your table. But it cooks beautifully. It spreads beautifully. And it's a very, very unique taste. Once you taste it, you can't untaste it. And I have people who are not from here who love the taste of Provel or who hate the taste of Provel. Everybody's on the fence. It's you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. So Provel is number one. But we also want to talk about T-Ravs, and let's talk about toasted raviolis. These are toasted raviolis, and they're not actually toasted. So if your expectation is that we put them in a toaster, we do not. What we do, and again, you can't really get these outside of St. Louis. There are a couple of places in Kansas City that will have them, and a few places in, on the what we call east side, which would be the Illinois side of St. Louis. There are a few places over sort of surrounding the St. Louis area, but primarily this is really a St. Louis style thing. So we take a meat ravioli, a beef ravioli, we bread it, we deep fry it, and then we serve it with meat sauce on the side. And typically there is Parmesan cheese sprinkled liberally on top. So you take the hot toasted ravioli, you dip it in the meat sauce, and then you pop it in your mouth. And it's about a 2 to 3 bite appetizer per person. So Emo's serves both of those, but again, there are other St. Louis style restaurants that will also serve those as well. I'm trying to think. Cecil Whitaker's and St. Louis Pizza and Wing Company, right off the top of my head, are they both serve St. Louis style pizza. Excuse me, and of course toasted raviolis. Most of the restaurants around here and downtown also serve toasted ravioli as an appetizer. It's sort of just one of those things that if you're from here, you kind of expect it on the menu. Pardon my coffee break. Okay, one of the things that not a lot of people know about are St. Paul sandwiches. And here is what I'm talking about. A St. Paul sandwich. It's a crispy brown fried egg foo young patty served between slices of white bread with mayonnaise. And this is kind of what it looks like. It's a descendant of a sandwich that was originally popular in St. Paul, which is why we call it a St. Paul sandwich. But it was invented at Park Chop Suey in Lafayette Square, a neighborhood near downtown St. Louis, and it is served at most Asian restaurants in St. Louis, specifically most Chinese restaurants in St. Louis. Again, it's got usually lettuce on it, and it's just like a crispy, crunchy egg foo young patty. I mean, it's not that well known. So if you walk into someplace and you really can't get it anywhere but here. And this is no thanks. This is the St. Paul sandwich. This is kind of what it looks like up close, but it's served on white Wonder Bread. And it's so incredibly good. It's just one of those things that's like, if you're into, if you're into fried foods, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. If you like a fried fish sandwich or a fried chicken sandwich, you're kind of going to love it. And it's very inexpensive. So it's a good belly filler. Very much a comfort food. Very much a comfort food. We're kind of into that. So that would be number 3. So we have the Emo's pizza, the cracker thin crust with the Provel cheese, always Provel cheese, never provolone. Provolone is not the same. And if you want Provel cheese, if you want to try it, you can order it online. You just have to go on to, Emo's website, but they actually can ship it to you. When my youngest son was in the military, we had them ship him an entire Emo's pizza, like 2 frozen pizzas across the country, just because we wanted to make sure that he didn't have to be homesick for what we would consider would be, the height of very good pizza. So the St. Paul sandwich, the Emo's pizza, the toasted raviolis, and because they're toasted raviolis and because we're lazy, we call them T-Ravs. So we are going to also move along to something that everybody knows, and a lot of people don't guess it. The Panera Bread Company. Panera Bread is an American chain store of bakery fast food restaurants with over 2,000 locations. Its headquarters are in Sunset Hills, Missouri, and the company operates as St. Louis Bread Company in the greater St. Louis area, where it has over 100 locations. And the reason why Panera in St. Louis is called St. Louis Bread Company, or Breadco for short. If somebody says they're going to go get Breadco, everybody knows what they mean, is because this was actually born here. It was created here, the Panera Bread. I mean, we are in the middle of the Midwest, so bread would make total sense for us. We actually, we grow wheat and stuff like that. So yeah, all of the things at St. Louis Bread are tested in the St. Louis area, and that is Breadco. So I just kind of wanted to mention that, give a shout out to Breadco, because before it became internationally known, it was sort of one of those best kept St. Louis secrets that we just absolutely loved. And it was our thing. And we would get, a dozen bagels in the morning, or some wonderful sandwich. The Mediterranean veg and the French onion soup combo is my absolute favorite. I also want to talk a little bit about what is the best barbecue in St. Louis. So we'll round out the savory portion of our video with talking about what the best barbecue is in St. Louis. Now, this is St. Louis Magazine, and they say that Pappy's Barbecue is the St. Louis barbecue favorite. It is downtown. Every single tourist that's ever come through St. Louis has probably had it. I find it to be overly spicy, and it's not really true St. Louis barbecue for me. Now, obviously it was born and raised in St. Louis, so it is. But for me, it's not the very best that we have to offer. Again, I like it. I like the burnt ends. I like the brisket egg rolls. I like all of this stuff. But a fine swine is my number one choice for St. Louis style barbecue. He includes dirty ribs, which are fried and then dusted with house rub and drizzled with sauce, burnt ends, turkey sandwiches. He's just, this guy absolutely knows his stuff, Peter Burt. And he's the pitmaster for fine swine. I've actually been lucky enough to enjoy that barbecue at different festivals and different carnivals and things like that, different like farmers markets and stuff. And I can tell you that it is among all of the barbecue in St. Louis, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, it's the best. It's the best of the best. I think it with the amount of pork that they have too, we have really heavy pork barbecue. And with the amount of pork that they have, it really is sort of a St. Louis thing. We do enjoy our pork. Again, we're sorry, but we're Midwestern. We raise pigs, so we know. We feed them corn and stuff. That's what we do. I mean, not that nobody else raises pigs, but that's just we're kind of we like the pork. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the heavy history of German immigrants in St. Louis. So yeah. So I would consider that the very best barbecue in St. Louis of fine swine. Again, I've tried them. I've tried them over and over again, and there has never been a time when I didn't have a good experience with them. I actually tried them. They had, I want to say it was them that had the barbecue truck where I actually had pulled pork barbecued sandwich. So I had pulled pork, it was smoked pulled pork, and they put apple butter on top. Oh, it was so good, guys. It was so good. So yeah, that is definitely one of my faves. Also, I would like to share just a couple of sweets with you. And the very first one is it's so iconic here. This is the St. Louis Gooey Butter Cake. It's our favorite and mysterious treat. The origin stories are very, very many. Everybody claims to be the person who created the origin story or created the original gooey butter cake. The gooey butter cake it's an unsweet. The crust of it is not sweet at all, and the middle of it is picture butter, sugar, and a little bit of flour just baked the crap. I mean, it is so good. They say the deep butter was used for coffee cakes while the gooey butter was used for things like Danish rolls. But actually they like I said, it's very it's almost like a Danish on the outside, like an unflavored Danish sort of texture on the outside, and then on the inside is this really, really gooey, super sweet, super duper buttery concoction. And if you do try it, may I recommend, they will serve you giant portions of it. I strongly recommend that you take very small bites of it. It is super duper rich. And so with small bites, you can actually accomplish eating it, but don't feel like you have to eat a piece this big. It's not like that. Like a piece this big is what we got when I was growing up, and that was just enough to whet your appetite for more. You really, really don't want to overdo it with the gooey butter cake. It can make you sick, really. I mean, it's that rich. And finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about frozen custard. I don't think we're the only ones who have frozen custard. We couldn't possibly be the only ones who have that. But we do have a St. Louis favorite, Ted Drew's. And I am going to share my screen with them at this time. Oh, look, they're hiring. Ted Drew's gift shop on Chippewa. Ted Drew's, the original Ted Drew's location is on Chippewa, and then they have one on South Grand as well. And that one's closed for the season, and this one's open at 11 a.m. daily because everybody lines up here. In the summertime, you'll see lines going all the way out to the street and around the building. I mean, it's so good. And it's frozen custard, so it has a lot of eggs. And it's just thicker than regular ice cream. They have the concrete, which was created in 1959. It's a malt or a shake so thick that it was served upside down. So it's very much like a blizzard. But they also have things like they also have a lot of themed concretes, I guess. Some things that you won't find anywhere else, like tiramisu concretes, or gosh, I mean, it's incredible the amount of. I can't even describe how many options there are for Ted Drew's. You can get just the frozen custard, and what you'll find is that it's a very rich ice. It's like ice cream, but it's richer, and it's just richer. It's creamier than regular ice cream. Even like the good high-end ice cream, it's actually richer than that. We like our rich stuff. There are several places that I do recommend going. The the one place that I would not miss in St. Louis if you were here for any amount of time would be Broadway Oyster Bar. It's actually a fusion of all of the river cities. So Broadway Oyster Bar they have things like, like whiskey bread pudding. They have things like they have jambalaya. So they have things from like New Orleans, that sort of river city, but they have things from like Memphis, Chicago. It's really kind of a fusion of all of the different river city flavors. And I think you would enjoy that tremendously. I also recommend, there is, there's a place in Lafayette Square, and let me say that any place in Lafayette Square is going to be good. Lafayette Square in downtown St. Louis has some really amazing restaurants. There was a place in Lafayette Square, I think it's still there, Ricardo's, and Ricardo's has a lasagna that is a wonderful lasagna, and it includes St. Louis style Provel cheese. And so it's a very unique tasting lasagna, and it may be something worth trying for you if you're not from here. I'm trying to keep you kind of off the beaten tourist path a little, and just enjoying local joints. If you do go to Pappy's Barbecue, just, when you taste their sauce, just your expectation should be that it's going to be a little on the spicy side. It doesn't necessarily bother me. It's just not, we just have so many good barbecue options that it's just not my top, but it is in the top 5, and there's a reason for it. And their meat does fall off the bone, and that is also good. So definitely try their burnt ends at Pappy's, and definitely try their sides. Their sides are incredible. There's also a place downtown called the Angry Beaver, which is a weird name for something well, not weird, but you know what I mean. But the Angry Beaver has daily specials that they do, and they have like all these different lunch specials every single day of the week. It's something different, and their chef keeps coming up with brand new ways to do things. It's really, really exciting. He had a pork chop piccata once with like a sauce over it. I mean, so he's just always like, he's always like, oh, I'm hanging out in the kitchen, so I'm throwing something new together. And you end up with a wonderful meal that's actually fairly affordable. I mean, it's like $16, but it's enough to make 2 meals out of. It's usually the portions are just ginormous. So that's pretty good. And then there's a place called the U City Loop. And that is in the county, and it's University City. That's St. Louis County, right at the county city borderline. And in the U City Loop, they have a restaurant called Fitz's Root Beer. And Fitz's Root Beer, the restaurant is just the restaurant. But if you want the freshest root beer you've ever had in your life, or the freshest cream soda, they actually make it. You can actually watch them. They're making it in the giant vats there. It's like being in a tap room, but for root beer. And it's so good. It's so good. And the cream soda is off the chain. It's so good. So I do recommend Fitz's. And then I think my last recommendation would actually be, there's a little hole in the wall, guys. It was called Tiffany's Diner, and I don't know what the name of it is now, but I can tell you this. There is a diner on the corner of Sutton and Manchester in Maplewood. Look up Diner Sutton, Manchester, Maplewood if you're really, really into local. And that is the diner that when I was growing up, we would always hit that diner day and night. And especially in my party years, we would go there in the middle of the night because they're open 24/7, or at least they were pre-pandemic. And of course you can get a slinger, which is the fried eggs and the sausage and the hash browns, and you have chili on top of it. But you can also get it what they call the yin yang, which means that it's the slinger, but then they put gravy on top of the chili. And so it's like everything covered in cheese and then covered in chili and then covered in gravy, which sounds atrocious and is so good. You have to try that. It's so amazing. So those are from someone who lives here. Those are my favorites, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope that you and get anything out of the video. But if you are visiting St. Louis, or if you have visited St. Louis and you've had a good experience, or even if you've had a bad experience, please list it in the chat below if you have opinions about St. Louis food and beverage. And as far as beverage goes, Fitz's root beer. If you get a chance to try an orange whistle, that's from Vest Soda Company, and it's really good because it's a little salty. And we are the home of Budweiser, so guess what we serve. So that's about it. But I hope that everything is going well with you, and I hope that you have a wonderful night. And if you visit St. Louis, give it a shot. Give toasted raviolis and Emo's pizza and a St. Paul sandwich maybe and a little barbecue a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Okay, I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.